interesting things about the Fiat 600e. I mean, the way it looks, the historical name, the price, the efficiency. Something even more interesting. Did you know that in the UK, the most popular car colour is grey? Now, in 2022 alone, in the UK, there was 415,000 grey cars sold. Yeah, so Fiat have said no. We've had enough. We're not doing it anymore. We're doing big, bold colours only. No more grey. No, that's not grey. Shut up, that's not grey. That's Earth of Italy. So definitely not grey. Right, let's talk about the design of the car. Essentially, this is the bigger sister of the 500e, because you know how the 500e is like utterly adorable, like the cutest thing you've ever seen. This is definitely the bigger sister. The reason I say that is because, well, it's 50 centimetres longer and also has a couple of extra doors. But check out her eyes. Perfect. Eyeliner flick. She's got resting sassy face and resting big sister sassy face. You know, like one of those. That's what she looks like. So this is the first electric Fiat to be based on other Stellantis cars, like the Jeep Avenger, for example, which actually Ginny drove last week, so we'll pop a link in the description below so you can watch that video if you like. But the big bits that they've taken are things like the 54 kilowatt hour battery, which returns 254 miles of WLTP range. There is something about the team at Stellantis that are just really good at making efficient cars, because that's 19 more miles than the Hyundai Kona. That's 37 more miles than the MG4 SE. It's all very, very impressive. Oh, and yeah, just in case you were wondering, we are in Italy at the Fiat factory. Yes, this is where they filmed the Italian Job. I know, right? So unlike the Avenger, the Fiat might have a sort of SUV-ish look, but it's not got any off-road pretensions. Instead, it's meant to be nippy around town and very fun to drive. And generally, it is. Look, this is very much designed to be a city car. It is just a nice bigger version of the 500e, except, yeah, it's just a little bit bigger, isn't it? This is comfortable in town. I mean, I haven't fully been able to put my foot down in it yet. But look at this. Look, I'm basically just driving with one finger. This is how you know it's a city car, because the steering is so light, like really, really light, weirdly light. You almost kind of don't feel connected to the car in a way. The driving is almost too easy, if that makes sense. So at the moment, we're driving on these windy, lovely country roads in Italy, which I do have to say are very much like our British roads, quite bumpy and quite potholy. So we could do a proper test to kind of see how the 600e handles it, and it has been crashing into potholes quite a bit. Now, I have heard, according to Ginny, that the Jeep Avenger copes with the potholes pretty well, but this has been a little bit crashy at times. Even like, you know, when you kind of go over a drain and you feel like that rumble and the clunk when you go over a drain. Yeah, you're feeling that through the cabin quite a bit. It's quite quiet though. That's really quiet. Actually, there is a brand new motor inside this, which is apparently 50% quieter than its predecessor. So that's probably why it's quiet. We do have different drive modes. Right, so we have sport mode, which makes it a little bit faster, I guess. The throttle is a little bit more responsive, if you will. It's got 154 horsepower. We'll do 0 to 62 in like 9 seconds. Perfectly adequate. You don't need it to be any faster than that. We then have normal mode, which is when you just drive normally, really. Just like normal stuff. And then you have eco mode, which kind of slows everything down a little bit, and it will reduce the performance a little bit. It doesn't have the Sherpa mode. You know the Sherpa mode in the 500e? I don't know if you've heard about this, but when you put it in Sherpa mode, that is when you're at the point where you're starting to panic about the mileage that you've got in your car. So you put it in Sherpa mode and it just switches everything off, like all the aircon and stuff, and gives you a speed limit of like 50 miles an hour or something silly to make sure that you can make it to your destination to charge your car. This doesn't have that. This just has eco mode. I guess because the battery's a little bit bigger and it will get you further than a 500e, so you shouldn't have to have that worry. Oh, by the way, wonderfully efficient. So we checked the numbers once we did our lovely drive around Italy, and we were getting 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour. That's not too shabby. Oh, we do need to test out the regen braking. So there isn't like flappy paddles or anything like that to kind of change the levels of things. Instead, we have the standard B button, B for regen, which always makes sense, or B for braking. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, of course. So let's see how well it does when we, oh, okay. Well, you could feel that, couldn't you? But there's no one behind me. So shall we see if it comes to a complete stop? Or a creep? It might go down to a creep. Down to a creep, okay. I mean, that's fine. The thing is I do think most of us on Electrifying, like myself and Ginny included, are big fans of regen braking, especially when you can change the levels of regen. Like I like full-blown hearty regen braking, that I can lift my foot off the pedal and I can feel the brakes working and I come down to a complete stop. But you won't get that in this. Okay, here is where you're really going to notice that this is definitely a city car, because we're currently on the equivalent of a motorway, if you will, and it is noisy. Road noise, wind noise, all of the noise. That's not the most relaxing experience while you're driving at speed. Better in town. Welcome to the interior of the Jeep Avenger. The Fiat 600e, sorry. I mean, it's an easy mistake to make because it's basically exactly the same. Like, completely the same layout. I mean, if you see them side by side, yeah, it looks exactly the same. We've got the Prima version, by the way, which is the top spec version. So we have all the little ivory bits. And I do have to say, these seats are very comfortable. I do have to give a shout out to the seats. I feel like I'm sat in them rather than on them, if that makes sense. Now, the styling in here is quite nice. It's very nice and simple, like the Jeep Avenger. We've got a 10.25-inch screen for all of your entertainment stuff on there, and then a tiny little screen behind the steering wheel for all your driving information. There are some sort of cheap materials dotted about where it gets a bit scratchy, plasticky. No gloss black though, which is a really good thing. I've spotted two things where I think Fiat have maybe just forgotten about. Number one is the engine start-stop button, engine, whereas it doesn't have an engine. And this, it looks nice, but this flappy is actually just a bit irritating. Like, I'd rather just not have it. I mean, when it's sort of tucked back here, if you kind of keep it out of the way because you've got something big in there, you now can't touch any of these buttons. It's like one of those sort of cheap iPad covers that you buy. I'd rather just not have that at all. But, storage is fantastic. So they've managed to access an extra 15 litres of space of storage in here, because like there is so much space inside here. There's wireless phone charging, there's so much space inside here. Does that lift up? It does, look at that. Door bins, very decent size. What's going on over here? That's a very nice size as well. Storage is cracking. Yeah, just a few little bits that need tweaking. This is smaller than I expected. That is set up for my driving position. Let me tell you this for free, right? When I'm sat in the back of the BYD Dolphin, I can fully stretch my arms out when it's set up for my driving position. This is just that's quite tight, isn't it? Long-legged folk might struggle back here. Is there any like cup holders? No. Bit of charge in there for one person. Simple. Small and simple. The boot's all right, you know. I'm pleasantly surprised by it. You've got 360 litres of space, which is like 20 less than the Jeep Avenger. But look, they had to find the space somewhere. So clearly they just took the space from the rear seats so they could put more space in the boot, which is kind of, I mean, we've got two big bags in there. It's all right. It's all right.
Right, charging. It will take up to 11 kilowatts from a wall box or 100 kilowatts from a DC fast charger. So that means it could be less than half an hour to charge the battery to 80%. Hello? Okay, let's get on to the important bit, which we all know is the price. So, the red, which is the entry-level model, is £32,995. And the posher, La Prima, which is the one that we've got here, is £36,995. That makes it cheaper than the Avenger and the Kona, and the Vauxhall Corsa, with the same battery and motor as this as well. But it's obviously more than the Chinese rivals of MG and BYD.
So, what do we think? Well, I mean, they're reasonably priced. I mean, let's be honest, Fiat is a really, really popular brand in the UK. A lot of people love the 500e. So I think a lot of people will love the 600e. I think it will be a big seller because of look at how adorable it looks. The question is in terms of price, in terms of space, in terms of range, are the Chinese brands just gonna pip it to the post? Are they gonna sell as well? I don't know. Let us know your thoughts, by the way, in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the Electrifying YouTube channel. Thank you very much.